And when you were describing the ledger process for debt management, I thought I could feel it. I could feel what it's like to have that be fun and to have it be a game and to be able to play that game, enjoying it, knowing where I am is okay as I'm going forward to something better.
All right, so what you got from that was you acknowledged that the condition, the financial condition in that example, your physical weight condition in this example, are not going to change instantly. What is what is. Mm-hmm. But by playing the game, that you changed your vibrational perspective and therefore changed the way the universe responds to you relative to that subject down the road. Well, you did a good job of applying that. That's good.
But I don't feel it when it comes to...
But think about what you said. So what you said is, I can see how if I were worried about money, and you are, by the way, if I were worried about money, since I'm worried about money, that by playing this game, I could worry less about it, so that the intensity of where I am would not be such an uphill battle. I just won't feel so harshly uncomfortable about my financial situation. And exactly the same thing is what we're wanting you to reach for relative to your physical weight. We want you to acknowledge that you want to somehow, you don't know how it's going to happen, but your intention is to release that feeling of struggle that's been going on for so long. You just want to make peace and release that feeling of struggle. And so you're looking for some sort of game that would make that possible. Well, then let's go back to the game that worked relative to the dollars. So on the columnar pad, it was a small gain that was achieved, wasn't it? In other words, we didn't say, take the biggest column and make a decision that you're going to do the impossible with it. We said, do something that is possible that you can feel good about doing. So it's all about alignment. It's all about making a decision and then keeping your word about the decision. So when you say, I'm going to find improvement, and then you think a thought that says, but I'm never find improvement, you're contradicting your own intention the first crack out of the box. But when you say, I'm going to find a way to find improvement, and I don't really know how it's going to be, but I believe that I will, it's almost like you've made that double payment. You've made a statement, and you've found a way to find alignment with it, and you feel better for having said it, and so you're proud. The way we would apply a similar game, we would say, as you look into the world of physical bodies, there is such a variety in the way people react with food. In other words, there are people who eat far more than you do, who maintain a physical figure that is satisfying to them. And so it is not about what you're eating, it's about how you feel about what you're eating. But we do not think that an easy thing to do, it would be like taking the big column and saying, I'm going to make a double payment. We don't think an easy thing to do would be to say, I'm going to change all of my beliefs about food so that I can eat just anything that I want to and get different results, because it's too big of a spread between what you believe and what you want. But what you could do is say, I've made a decision that I'm going to do such and such, and I'm just going to do this for the next 3 days. And each time I do it, I'm going to make some sort of an indication of accomplishment, and I'm going to make a little bit of a deal out of it, because I want to feel proud of making a decision about something and then sticking to it. And then just make some small decision about something that you know you can do and do it. And then say, well, if I can do that, then I'm going to do such and such. It's like moving to the next column. So the first thing might be, I'm going to forego the midnight snacks that I've been eating. I'm going to just let them go. I'm going to eat the things that I'm wanting through the day, but from a certain point of time. Now, we're only getting this from your own beliefs. In other words, from what you believe about food, because there are all kinds of people believe all kinds of different things about food, but that's irrelevant. It's what you believe about food that you've got to bring into alignment. So what do you think you need to do in order to begin moving toward the body weight that you want? What do you think the steps are? And as you start with the hardest one or start with the easiest one, it doesn't matter which way you start, and we'll place them on this columnar pad for you.
I need to be okay with where I am and accept myself. I want to move, but I know that when I go, oh, but I can't stand how I look, and I've tried everything and every diet, and every time I do it, I end up gaining more weight. I should have never tried, and then I get into a whole thing.
But what we want to ask you, of course, that's the answer, because in the moment that you make peace with where you are, you stop turning against the current, and you begin flowing with it, and ideas begin to occur to you. But sometimes that's the hardest step of all. So is there anything that you can think of that you might, have you completely given up on anything that is action-oriented?
No, I'm just afraid of anything that's action-oriented because I've never carried it through to where it's worked.
All right, so now this is where your contradiction of energy is happening, because what you're saying is, I need to do something that I never do. Mm-hmm. So that's what's got you stuck in the mud. So now, can you find a way to turn that to say, I need to do something that maybe I can do? Or I need to do something and maybe I can find something that will be easier for me to do? Is there any way? Because let us back up in another place. We don't want this to be about action. And yet, for you, it is about action. In other words, it feels to you like it is about action. So if you will approach your action in a better feeling way, now you're applying the science of energy movement to your action. It's the same thing as why the columnar pad appealed to you. That was action. In other words, that wasn't something someone just dreaming themselves into vibrational alignment. That was someone choosing a game that enhanced their vibrational alignment and made vibrational alignment easier. You see what we're getting at?
And then they got to check it off and say, yes,
so that's what you want to do. You want to find something that will cause you. So you have to decide something that you believe that you can do, that you will be proud of yourself for doing. That's like the first step in making peace with where you are. And we think that the thing that's got you tripped up, you've convinced yourself, you've been beating this drum just in the short time you've been sitting in the chair, you've convinced yourself that you are incapable of keeping your word to yourself. Yeah. And that's why that game appealed to you. That was somebody who kept their word to themselves, and they laid it out in an easy fashion and then felt so good about keeping their word to themselves that their vibration shift, and then it got easier and easier and easier. That's why that game's appealing to you. Mm-hmm. So what could you decide to do that would make you believe that you could keep your word to yourself? Don't choose something that you don't believe you can do. Don't say, I'm going to run 5 miles every day. Don't say that. Don't say, I'm never going to eat anything with sugar or carbohydrates again. Don't say that. You're going to break that promise before the hour's out usually, you see. Whenever someone says, I'm not going to do that, they activate it and it calls them. I'm not going to eat that Snicker bar. I'm not going to eat that Snicker bar. I'm not going to eat that Snicker bar. I'm eating that Snicker bar because I can't not eat that Snicker bar, you see.
Well, every day I could do something that makes my body feel good.
Like what?
Go for a walk or get a massage or meditate or eat what I consider well or...
Well, pick any one of those. Which one of those seems like the path of least resistance? What could you do every day? What could you do for the next week? What promise could you easily keep to yourself that would make you proud of yourself for keeping the promise?
I don't know if this counts toward losing weight, but I know I could meditate every day for a few minutes. And
all right, now
feel
since you have taken this into the action realm, it counts, but we don't think it's the best choice that you could make, because you know you can meditate and you don't think that, and you've been meditating, and we don't think that you feel the association with that. So in the same framework of this columnar pad, what could you do every day for the next 7 days that you would feel proud at the end of 7 days to acknowledge that you had done it, relative to the subject of your physical body? What could you do?
I could...
What do you think that you could easily do, but that you usually don't do, but that you could do with a little bit of effort? What could it be? You see, it's tricky. It's a struggle for her because she hasn't been looking for the easy way. In other words, you've convinced yourself that you don't keep your promises. And so and you can feel that we're going to hold you to this promise. And so you're doing a good job. You're making sure that it's because you don't want to ask a question that you don't know the answer to. We've talked about that earlier today. You want to have the outcome that you want. So what would it be?
I could do stretches every morning.
All right, I could do stretches every morning.
Well,
and I'm not going to get carried away with this. I don't intend to make it a big, long, hard workout. I'm just going to do stretches every morning. Comfortable, good-feeling stretches. And I think that about this many stretches would be just about right for my first week of activity. How many stretches?
15.
15 stretches every day. And I'm going to do them standing, sitting, or lying down. What kind of stretches?
Standing and lying down.
And where will I be in my house when I do them? What's the place that seems to call me? I'm going to go to which place and I'm going to do 15 stretches?
When I get back to home, it would be in the living room.
All right. So now you've placed that on your columnar pad. And did you feel her do it? I'm going to every day at about what time of the day? First thing in the morning? After lunch? When am I going to do this?
In morning.
At about what time?
Before 9 a.m.
All right. So on or around 9 a.m., I'm going to go to my living room every day for the next 7 days, and I'm going to do 15 stretches. Done. That's on your columnar pad. Now, don't you all want to get up tomorrow and go do 15 stretches in your living room at 9 a.m.? In other words, can't you feel how you've spent enough time on that you're actually calling yourself toward it? And don't you believe with all of your heart that you can do that? And can't you just feel how eager you're going to be? You're going to look at the clock and it's almost 9 a.m. and you're eager to do it, and you go in and you position yourself and you do 15 stretches of your choice, and you say, good for me, and you mark it down, and you feel exhilarated, and you can hardly wait until tomorrow at 9 o'clock to do 15 more stretches, because doing those stretches represents keeping your word to you. Doesn't that feel good? Now, you may, even while you're doing those 15 stretches, you might put something else in the next easy column too. You might say, I'm going to take a short walk every day, and I'm going to breathe deeply while I walk for 10 or 15 minutes. And you can put that in the second column. So 9 a.m. you do that and you check that off, and now you look at the next column and you do that too. This seems like a really fun thing to do. What might I put in the third column? Let's see, what could I put in the third column that would be inspiring and good feeling to me? I'm going to drink twice as much water as I usually drink. How much water do you usually drink in a day?
Probably 6 cups or so.
Well, that's pretty darn good. I'm going to make sure that I drink 8 cups of water tomorrow. That's in the third column. So now you've got 3 columns on your list. At 9 o'clock, you can hardly wait to do those 15 stretches. And somewhere in the morning, you can hardly wait to take that 10-minute walk while you breathe deeply, while you focus on your breathing while you walk. You're not focusing on distance, you're not focusing on speed, you're focusing on breathing while you walk. And you come back and you check that off, and then you watch yourself through the day and you drink the water, and at the end of these days, as you look at these columns, you feel doubly, triply good about yourself, because you have made statements to yourself, you've kept your promise to yourself, and before you know it, you'll be putting more things in more columns and keeping more things in more columns until you will become the fitness guru of your neighborhood. People will begin looking at you and they'll say, how did you do this? I remember when I never saw you out. I remember when you were not active or physical at all. I remember when you didn't feel very good about yourself at all. And what happened to you? And you'll say, well, I got this columnar pad and I chose something that I believed that I could do. And it took me quite a while to pick it out, but finally I wrote it down. And by the time I got it written on that columnar pad, I so believed that I could do it. And when I did it, the exhilaration that moved through me because my action brought me into vibrational alignment with my source. And when I'm in alignment with my source, I'm inspired to more and more and more, and I can feel myself. I didn't just turn in the stream, I'm moving in the stream, and I have so made peace with where I am, because where I am doesn't matter, because I'm moving toward that which I'm wanting to be. Very, very good.
Thank you.